Bonjour la classe! Now that you have a week or so under your belt with your online course, I wanted to give you a few tips and tricks for how to navigate around course, things you may or may not have already been aware of that will just help you get the most out of your experience. The first and foremost thing I always want to mention is to read the announcements. Probably the most important information I could ever communicate to you will be in announcements. And you can always see the oldest announcements on the bottom, such as my welcome announcement, welcome video, Google form to fill out, and then anything after that appears above it. So it's kind of like a timeline. And if you're new to class this week, you just want to make sure you read the bottom stuff first. Announcements will occasionally contain information that you need to actually act upon, like you're required to do something. Other times they just give really helpful additional information, like supplemental videos or reminders of where you should be at class in terms of the pacing, things like that. So really be sure to check those out. The second thing is, if you haven't done so already, make sure you go to Start Here to start your course. The language resources policy is super important. In fact, I've had students just plain fail the course because they don't follow the policy. And make sure you go there. If you don't understand the policy at all, just let me know. I'd be happy to just talk you through it in plain terms. And then you need to pass this quiz with 10 out of 10, and you have 3 attempts on it. Make sure you do get a 10 out of 10 on it. And you can actually go in and see how you did on the quiz. And you can, if you didn't get them all right, you can actually see the correct responses. I'll show you that in a minute. The third thing is just the welcome letter. I've got that right here. It's also, some of you I've emailed that to if I have your email address, and I've also I've included it in the initial announcement. Just make sure you really read and understand the expectations in class, both of yourself and myself. You are held to stuff like going in order through class. It is something I'm pretty serious about because I've taught online for 6 years. And I just know what helps students be successful online, and that's why those expectations are there. They're for your benefit. Next thing, when you're actually in the unit, you know, in like bonjour, for instance, if you're in French 1A, or if you're in French 1B, the first unit is les endroits. Just make sure you check out the checklist at the top. That's really valuable information. You can just check off assignments as you do them. A couple of quick tips. When you're actually doing a speaking assignment, you just have to make an attachment, you know, using something like Sound Recorder on your computer, and then you attach the file. You can see how to do that in the tutorial video. But one little thing with writing assignments that can be a little tricky sometimes, when you go to actually submit the assignment, oops, that's a bad example because I already submitted that one. Let's go to a different one here. Oh, there's a lot of speaking. Here we go. So let's say I'm going to do a writing assignment. When I actually go to submit it, though, sometimes what students do is they put everything in the add comments. That's not where I want it. It looks really, it's hard for me to read it as your instructor there. But instead, if you either attach a file from your computer, that's totally fine, or click on Write Submission right here under text by text submission, and then type your response right there to submit it. That's really the best spot. That'll help me the most to be able to grade your work. I also want to show you how to check your grades real quick. When you go to My Grades, you'll see a few different things here. First of all, I notice on the quiz to get started, I didn't get 10 out of 10. Like I mentioned, I got a 5 out of 10. Well, remember, like I said, you have at least 3 attempts, so I could actually go back to the quiz and take it again. But another little thing is I can click on the quiz itself here. And if I click the score right here, you may not have noticed this, but if I click that, I can actually see how I did. I can see what answers I selected and what the correct answer should be, which is, you know, and in some cases there's even some response feedback that kind of explains the policy more in detail, whether you got it correct or not. And so if you're struggling with that, go ahead and click on your score, and that will really help you. Okay. Back out to the My Grades, a couple other things. When you submit something, and I haven't graded it yet, this little green exclamation point will show up. Don't worry about that. That just means I need to get graded. Remember to give me 4 days to grade your work, Monday through Friday. And then when I do grade stuff, sometimes I'll leave feedback. If I do, you'll see this little bubble up over here. and if you click on it, it will open up whatever I write. Sometimes I'll even make a video and post the hyperlink of the video in there for you. And occasionally I'll ask you to redo an assignment if you didn't follow directions correctly. In this case, you can see I put a 0, and I also created a new attempt. Sometimes I won't leave feedback. They're very simple assignments, and I may not leave any sort of feedback, but you can always feel free to ask me. And then one last thing I want to mention is this little Twitter feed over here. Some of you are on Twitter, and I recommend following me because I really regularly post helpful stuff for learning French. But even if you're not on Twitter, you can just still check out what I posted there by clicking on Twitter feed, and I've just embedded this here. And it's not required information, but I do really regularly try to post out things either I've made or things that I'm finding online that could be additional helpful resources. As always, if you have any questions about how to do anything in your online class, please feel free to contact me anytime. I'm here to help you.